So last week, we did, in fact, we were very, very excited that we did receive a generous piece of support from Elon Musk's foundation. And what that is going to do is to support the work of Giga, the initiative that is sitting between UNICEF and ITU, working to connect every school in the world. And all of this came through at a speed that you would expect from Elon Musk, so very, very quickly. And with some of the most wonderful trappings of the type of innovation that he does around it, like it has a clarity of purpose. He's interested in helping us connect every school in the world. It has a lot of space for us to design exactly what we're doing and to think about how we work with him and his companies, later over time. And I think finally it adds to some of the other exciting partnerships that we've just announced with Giga. So it does add fuel to it, to the project. And I'd be happy to tell you a little bit about sort of where we are right now and what we want to do with this fuel.
Yes. So what exactly he's really collaborating too? It's sort of a collaboration between his technology companies. It's an in-kind donation, or can you tell us about figures or projects? Because I'm looking now at your project connect.unicef.io, which is an interactive map that shows us where you are progressing. And I know you closed some partnerships recently with some countries. So tell us a little bit, walk us through what shape, structure will take this donation and collaboration with the Musk Foundation.
So it is a financial partnership. It's a financial donation. Exact figures and so on will come out, over the next month or so, I think. But it's certainly substantial, and it's very much focused at first in helping us take the map that you're looking at and make it go faster and make it get more points that are being shown, sort of showing up live, and make it represent the work of connecting schools in more real-time senses. And I think that's what's very important to many technologists, is that they can see with Giga that it's not only about us delivering work on the ground, it's about us creating these real-time systems for seeing the effect of that work. And so if I can just sort of step back from the specific one to the broader picture for a second, and then I'll talk about what we're going to do with this support. The place where we are at with Giga right now is that we've managed to secure a partnership as well from Ericsson and from Dubai Cares. And these are also very generous financial partnerships. They are supporting the work of our team in mapping every school in the world. And here's the really funny thing, Maya, we don't know how many schools there are in the world. It's crazy. We really don't, we think it's about 6 million, but we don't have, that number doesn't exist. And we certainly don't know where they are. And so one
sort of guess, you make a guesstimate, sort of.
Yeah, you make a guess, but you don't, but if it's 6 million or 6.5 million, that's a huge variance in pricing. So if we're thinking about financing for this and we have a 5% difference or a 10% difference in schools, that makes a big difference to the $400 billion that we need to connect every school in the world, because then you're talking about an extra $50 billion. So the first thing we need to do, and what these three partners are supporting, what Elon Musk's foundation, Ericsson and Dubai Cares are supporting, is making this real-time map of school connectivity better, faster, and also putting it on a public record, on this public blockchain, so that what you know is that when a school does get connected, you can see that record of connectivity, and it's there as a permanent trace. You can use that record to start to pay contracts, pay service providers for fees, to start to do performance-based contracting, all this great stuff that any technology leader is used to in their own companies. And I think this is very important. If you look at how big tech companies work, nobody puts money into one of their research groups and then comes back 2 years later and says what's happening. Nobody invests in a new business unit and says, we'll have an annual report, but other than that, don't worry about it. They want to see real-time stuff. They want to see indicators of performance. And often in the public sector, we don't necessarily think that way all the time. But this, sometimes it's like a little bit slower. That's being generous. Sometimes it's a lot slower. But this real-time ability of using technology to really show those data points in live action is, I think, quite important.
Yes, I'm looking at the map, and then the yellow countries are the countries that you are already starting negotiations in order to provide the capabilities and map out the schools, like Brazil, Colombia, Honduras, I'm seeing, and then the blue ones, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, like just to give you a few names. So tell us a little bit what the blue ones mean and what the yellow ones mean.
So click on your favorite country, or don't even do that, but click on Brazil or click on a yellow one.
Okay. Yellow.
And you'll see a lot of dots pop up if you're looking at Brazil, for example.
Yes, great. Yeah, I see that now.
And
Okay.
every dot is a school. And so anybody, you can go to projectconnect.world and see this, but every dot is
above 3 megabytes per second,
yeah. So every one of those dots is a school. And the school dots that are green are schools that are connected. School dots that are yellow have like some connectivity, but it's not great. And school dots that are red are not connected at all at the school. And so what we're doing over the next few months, you're going to see us focusing really, really a lot of effort on 3 countries, maybe 4, Kenya, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, and Niger in East and West Africa, as well as doing much of the other work that you see on the map. But those 4 countries are going to get the full support from our mapping team to make sure that the school maps are live and that you can really see in real time when a school gets connected, and to make sure that we're testing out some innovations, for example, paying teachers with digital currency. So if you imagine how powerful it is once you connect a school to be able to pay for the teachers, to be able to give incentives for various other activities that happen around the school, then you start to create a really vibrant learning environment. And I think that that's something that financing can finally do. We can play a part in learning.
Yes, and I understand Elon Musk is very keen on advancing cryptocurrencies, right? And he's very involved on that. So perhaps that's one area he will be able to collaborate quite well too.
That's what I've heard. I mentioned that we'd be happy to take Bitcoin, but this is not yet a Bitcoin donation. I think the idea of
part of the rollout perhaps will involve that cryptocurrencies being part of it. But it is fascinating to look at the map, because it gives you a sense, of where things are going. And I think of Brazil. Brazil has 5,500 municipalities. So each municipality has on average what? 10 schools, 10 public schools, 5 private schools. I don't know, give it or take. Bigger cities have more schools, right? So, and not all schools, but you're looking at the most needy ones, right? At first as well.
And if you think about Brazil, you also have, like, if you go up to Amazonas, you go out past Manaus. If you look in Manaus, you have great connectivity. And you can see there's a city, a big city, you've got tons of stuff. And if you go just 2 hours west up on the river, in the jungle, you can see like suddenly
too. I clicked again and I can see the exact city. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I will explore the map more.
And so imagine you're going up the river, up Rio Negro, and you can see suddenly that the connectivity drops off. And there you have villages. So in fact, it's very interesting because in Manaus, they produce amazing digital content. And there are pedagogues that produce content for 60,000 students in the Amazonas region. And there's 2-way video between many of these schools. But up until a few years ago, there wasn't any connectivity at all. And so this map can be used for government planning. It can be used for payments, and it can be used also to track learning outcomes, because you can imagine that districts that get connected will have students that perform better in many ways.
Indeed. And of course, his Starlink startup as well, right? Will play a role on this mapping out. So tell us about those 4 countries you mentioned now that are going to be first in the rollout in Africa. Sierra Leone, which one?
Kenya, Rwanda, and Niger. We've already started connecting schools. In Kenya, we connected the first set of them, just a small number of about 10 schools last month. But then we will be rolling out many more over the next few months, hundreds of schools. Also in Rwanda and also in Sierra Leone. And these first ones are a test. So we know that the first, it's like making pancakes. The first pancakes are always, takes you a lot longer. They don't quite cook right. You're learning a lot. In the first schools, and the first schools allow us to test out a bunch of things. They allow us to test out really what type of agreements we need with the network operators. So what's the contract that the government needs to write in order to make the provision of connectivity really useful for the students? What kind of support do the students need and the teachers need? How do we maybe do some of the cryptocurrency-based payments? How do we do the monitoring? So they allow us to test all these small muscles. And what you'll see over the next year is that we're testing out in those 4 countries. And you'll see it's a small number of schools. It's not as big as we would necessarily like, but it's because we're not ready for that yet. We're learning. We'll be testing out these schools with this package on each one of them. So you connect the school, you can see it in real time. You can pay the teachers, you can do X, Y, Z. And then by the end of this year, we should know enough about the recipe that we can make a lot of pancakes at once, tell everybody else how to do it, and scale up quite quickly. So we're doing that in 4 countries in Africa, also in countries in South America and Central America, and then in Central Asia as well. So we'll be doing some small batch tests of pancakes in Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and as well in the Office of Eastern Caribbean States member state countries, which is a set of islands in the Eastern Caribbean.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with the rolling out and the new collaborations. And I look forward to catching up soon and finding out more. Thank you very much, Chris Fabian, co-founder of Venture UNICEF. Is there anything else that you would like to tell me that I haven't asked?
No, I just would last thing, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. And I just would say that for the UN family as well, it's really exciting to have this partnership that to us has so many different UN agencies working on it, you know, and connectivity speaks to everybody's work. So it's not, there's nobody owns this. It's really sort of for us the formative underlayer for so much of the work happening in the system. So I'm happy to be here. I look forward to giving you an update, and I look forward to you watching the map and seeing the schools turn green.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chris
Thanks so
Fabian.
much, Maya.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.